Baklava.
500, Booker.
No.
All right, all in. Here it is.
Really?
All in.
All in.
Hazelnut, not walnut. Rose water. Pomegranate. Eastern turkey.
Grazie mille, Nicky, veramente, sei molto
Santa
gentile.
Maria, Madre di Dio.
Prego, prego,
No,
prego.
no, no, don't worry.
Hi guys, in this video we're going to be making the baklava from the film The Old Guard. First we're going to be making the syrup, so you'll need 1 1/4 cups of sugar, 1/8 of a teaspoon salt, 3/4 cup water, 1/3 of a cup of honey, 1 teaspoon of rose water, a tablespoon of pomegranate syrup, and 2 teaspoons of lemon juice that I forgot to picture. Put all the ingredients except for the rose water and lemon juice into a medium saucepan, and if you can't find pomegranate syrup, you can use 1/4 of a cup of pomegranate juice instead. Heat that over medium-high until the sugar dissolves and the mixture starts to thicken, and then remove from heat and add in the rose water and lemon juice. Then just set that aside to cool while we make our nut mixture. You'll need 12 ounces of blanched hazelnuts, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1/4 teaspoon cloves, 1 1/4 teaspoon cinnamon, 1/8 of a teaspoon salt, and 2 teaspoons of ground cardamom. Put your hazelnuts in the bowl of a food processor and pulse until pretty finely ground, but make sure you don't go so far that you make a nut butter. This is just about right. Set aside a couple tablespoons of the ground nuts for topping your baklava later, and then mix the rest of the nuts with the sugar and spices. For assembly, you're going to need your nut mixture, a package of thawed phyllo dough, and a cup of melted ghee or clarified butter. You can also use regular butter, but it might brown in some spots on your baked baklava. For your station, you'll want your phyllo dough under a sheet of plastic wrap and a damp towel to make sure it doesn't dry out. Then brush the melted butter on your pan, and be sure to use, or don't use rather, a non-stick pan. We're going to be cutting the baklava in the pan, so you don't want to scratch up a non-stick surface. As you can see here, we're layering each phyllo sheet with a tablespoon or 2 of melted butter. Doesn't need to be soaked, just needs to be sort of well coated, and don't worry too much about little folds or tears in your phyllo dough. For the bottom, we're going to do 8 layers total of our phyllo sheets, and then we're going to use a cup of the nut mixture and make sure that's evenly distributed. You can just use your hands. And then for the next sheet, you'll want to be a little extra careful because it won't really have anything to stick to, so it'll shift and fold pretty easily on top of the nuts. So you can see I'm just kind of dabbing the butter onto the sheet instead of brushing. You're going to do 6 layers now of the phyllo sheets, and then another cup of the nut mixture, then another 6 layers, and then the last of the nut mixture. And on top we're going to do 8 layers again. And once you get to the last layer, go ahead and dump all that butter on top. This isn't a diet food. Now to cut, we're going to use the corners of the pan as our guide. Use a serrated knife and go from one corner down to the opposite corner. And then just cut each section in half and then in half again. Flip your pan and do the same thing from the other corners. Once you've got a pan full of diamonds, you can bake that at 300 degrees Fahrenheit for an hour and a half until it's nice and golden brown. Then you want to immediately add your now room temperature syrup, and you should get some nice sizzling action there. Let's listen. Make sure to pour the syrup into the cuts of the baklava first. That way it's less likely that the top layer of phyllo dough will shift around too much. And once you've done that, you can go ahead and pour it over the top, like so. Make sure it's a little sticky so that you can add a pinch of those ground hazelnuts you set aside earlier. Then comes the really difficult part. You've got to wait 8 full hours before they're ready to eat. So let them cool and then cover them with aluminum foil. I hope you guys make this recipe. It's really delicious, although like Andy, baklava is one of my favorite foods. So if you want to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe, and happy baking, everybody.